I'm Autodassing, and I'm joined tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
What's up, guys?
And Britt and Freckles of the Freckles and Britt Show.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
Good week, huh? Great week.
Great week. I don't know. It's a little slow news-wise. Nothing really happening. I don't know. Anything interesting happen? I don't know.
Well, before we get into that, you guys want to tell us about your podcast and your Twitter fame and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. You want me to tell them, Freckles?
Oh, for it.
we host the Freckles and Britt Show Sunday mornings on YouTube, and we're on DLive, Stitcher, Spotify, all those Apple Podcasts, whatever, until they figure out who we are, and then they get rid of us. But every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the only real time zone. So I know. I'm sorry, Freckles. Anyways, and then we're on Twitter. I'm on Tweets by Britt. Freckles is Freckled Liberty. We're on Parler, but Parler's not on Parler, so it doesn't matter.
No one's on Parler anymore.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah,
no one.
Like, I don't know about that. I joined MeWe. I think it's Britt, Salt, and Freckles. I think you're Freckled Liberty.
Yeah, I'm Freckled Liberty on Gab. Actually, I don't have the MeWe that
I've been trying to join Gab all day, you guys. It won't let me. So
you're saying you're a white supremacist? Is that you're on Gab?
Yeah, I mean, that whole Jew thing like really pushes the white supremacy hard, right? Like
that must be why they don't let me on. I'm gonna have to submit my like KKK card or something, because
you've got to take a picture of yourself with a hood on. I think that's how it works.
Or at least in blackface. Like, come on, put some effort into it.
Does that work? Wrong, good? Nope. I don't know. Yeah. So it won't let me on. We'll see when it does, and I'll let people know, and they won't care either way. But mostly we're on Twitter until our accounts get fried. But please don't DM me.
I don't think you're getting a lot of responses right now. How long is this ban of yours that you're on?
It's over now.
Oh, it is over. Okay.
So I keep getting the Twitter DM ban. So I can tweet like in the main, but I can't like DM people for like 1 to 3 hours every time it happens. So every time people DM me, I can't help myself. I'm like that, like we're like the Roger Rabbit where they like, and every time I'm like, hello, like I can't help myself. So please don't DM me.
Sweet. Well,
sounds good.
Yeah. How long have you guys been doing that podcast for now?
It started with the beginning of the pandemic, essentially. Britt contacted me in January being like, hey, do you want to come on like a podcast that I'm planning on doing? I was like, yeah, sure. But can like we put it off because I'm planning a wedding that was supposed to be in April. And then that said wedding got postponed. So I was like, yeah, Britt, I'll come on your podcast. And I did the first episode with her, and then she was like, do you want to just co-host? I was like, you know what? Why not? I'll do the thing.
Yeah. So now we just do the thing.
And the rest was history.
Yep.
Yeah. So when did we start? April or May or something? I keep saying March, but it wasn't March. I've only been doing it.
It was April, I think. Early April is when we got to it.
That's right, because we did do an episode like the day you're supposed to get married.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
That was good. Good times. Good times.
Nice.
It's been a great year.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah. 2021 shaping up to be much better though. Looks everything.
So we had some event that took place in the Capitol Wednesday. I don't know what we're calling this. Are we calling this a siege? Or are we calling this
insurrection?
Insurrection?
No, the proper term.
Mostly peaceful protest.
No, this is an attack of white supremacist terrorists. That's what this was. This was a coup by white nationalists. That's what this was. You guys aren't paying attention.
I'm sorry.
Don't think. Yeah, no.
Sorry, I thought that this was civil unrest. No. I haven't been. It's funny to me because I noticed that all of a sudden CNN has a whole new lexicon for people gathering in public places. So I just have to keep up, I guess.
Yeah, it's a fast moving target.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, I guess it all started right. I talked about this it's funny. Some guy sent me a message. He's a fan of the show, and he's in the group, the Punk Rock Libertarians group on Facebook, and he was like, "Oh man, you going January 6th?" I'm like, "No." At first, I didn't know what he was talking. I was like, what's that? And then it like after I sent it, I was like, oh, is he talking about like a Trump thing? Like, why the fuck would I go to that? Huh. And so he's like, yeah, man, it's gonna be great. He's like, yeah, I don't know. He was just so excited about this. He's like, yeah, a lot of shit's gonna go down. And I was like, well, I'll just catch the videos on Twitter afterwards of you guys getting your asses beat by Antifa and riots in the street and fights with cops. I didn't really think it was going to amount to what it did. We had some pretty fucking funny scenes coming out of this, especially Buffalo Man, the crazy QAnon idiot. Guys, dude, I believe it was Alex sent us over a video of him, like one of his speeches from a BLM rally.
Oh my God, dude.
Dude, it was so funny. Your GIF response was perfect because at first he was like,
well, yeah, he starts off and he's like talking about, I think he was talking about like the Federal Reserve or something.
Yeah.
But then it like turned into like underground bunkers with like, I don't know, like New World Order, lizard people hanging out or something. And I was like, you had me in the first half, bro.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No, he had me throughout because that shit was awesome.
There was a lot of weird, like I have questions about what happened. So I definitely believe that the people that were there were like Trump people, but I did find it odd that like Antifa didn't even really show up. I did find it super odd that, not just odd, I was kind of annoyed that they didn't show back up 2 hours later. Like that to me seems really half-assed. I don't know if I can say words.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I was just like, if like I'm usually,
what do you mean show back up?
Well, like they were all there, they did their whole thing, and then 2 hours later when Congress goes back in session, like they didn't really show back up, and I was annoyed by it because I was like, so what was the point of all this? You guys literally, like, you guys are exactly like Trump. You guys did the exact same thing Trump did with this last like stimulus bill. Like, no, not gonna deal with it, not gonna do it. You're gonna follow our demands. Just kidding. I'm gonna sign it. Like that's the same thing they did. Was like, we're gonna storm the Capitol and it's gonna be like a Hunger Games. And just kidding. We're going to dinner because we're all a bunch of boomers and my back hurts and I gotta take my Tylenol or my Aleve because this was a big day already. Like, what even happened? What even happened?
Actually, I mean, it in more ways than one, obviously, but immediately, I mean, it backfired in the sense that, so all they really did was delay the vote another, 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that.
Yeah. And
then as soon as they met, they ended up, of course, confirming Biden. And actually, it sounds like this whole insurrection probably switched a bunch of people from voting against the confirmation. Like there were Republicans that I think were considering voting against it that ended up switching because now, okay, I don't want to be associated with, the terrorists and the insurrectionists.
It kind of makes you wonder what the mindset was. Like,
I did see a video where they had a guy, he was banging with like his nightstick on the glass as everyone was pressed up against the door. And a bunch of like Trump supporters were screaming like, Antifa, this guy's Antifa. And they ripped him down like from smashing the window. But then there was this one guy that was arrested who was a BLM activist. They did arrest him. He was in the building. And people were saying he was having people going, but like, let's not kid ourselves. These guys they were worked up into a frenzy. They thought it was cool. They busted through and they had no clue what they were doing when they got in there.
They didn't. Yeah. I don't think they thought they were going to get through, but there were some really odd things. One, there was an aide that was inside at the time who went on CNN. I made sure that I watched as far left as I could on mainstream media. I picked CNN. This guy was saying those people, when they were in there, they were saying like, we're not going to hurt you. We just want in. We just want in. We need to be in here. And the people that were on the other side of the door were saying, just let him in, let him in. And when that woman got shot by the police or by the security guard, whatever, he started to defend that woman. And this person is, by all accounts, from what I could tell from the CNN interview, somebody that's was like was a Democrat, like administration person. And as soon as he started to kind of defend this woman's actions, saying that she wasn't doing anything, no one was hurting, Anderson Cooper cut her off really quickly, and they just stopped talking about it. So I noticed that. I also noticed that initially they let them in, and then all of a sudden this thing happened. So it seems really strange to me that we had what just seemed like people peacefully marching, not peacefully, but like, you know, like them letting them in, and then all of a sudden they weren't letting them in. Like, what happened? What was going on? And why was it okay at one moment and then it wasn't? I think we need some clarification about that, and I don't think we'll ever get it. It just seems odd.
I don't know. To me, there was clear. It was clear as day that they thought this was a very pro-police crowd, and they weren't even supposed to be at the Capitol, right? They were. Donald Trump put that video out, and everyone walked over to the Capitol because he said march on the Capitol or something. I don't know. I can't find the video because they took it down, and it's now
I watched the whole thing. I watched it. I actually retweeted it. He said he didn't say anything that would incite anything to me. Yeah. In fact, he just kept saying things where like whatever side you feel on Donald Trump, I never voted for the guy. In fact, in 2016, I was very much a like never Trumper, but I didn't see anything that would incite this. In fact, I kept seeing him say like, let's be peaceful. Let's like not do this. Let's go home in peace. So from what I'm seeing, it seems like it's basically bullshit what is being put out that Donald Trump incited this. I mean, I also saw the text message from Ted Cruz that happened at the same time, which AOC or anybody that believes that Ted Cruz is actually texting them, telling them to march on the Capitol is, let me put this nicely, a stupid fucking idiot. Like, I don't know how else you could put it. I mean, it was clearly somebody from a campaign that was trying to, you know, fundraise for money. And what they were talking about was metaphoric. It literally had nothing to do with people, you know, marching into the Capitol.
Well, yeah, I mean, and march on the Capitol doesn't necessarily imply like marching into the building that is the Capitol, right? I mean, you're allowed to protest on the lawn of the Capitol, no? I mean, yeah, I'm sure they're supposed to have some sort of perimeter set up, which clearly they tore that down, and I think that was purposeful. Get into that in a bit, but you know, I mean, even if he had said go to the Capitol and protest, like he definitely didn't say anything that was like breach the Capitol, you know, door, smash a window, you know, take everyone hostage. Like I didn't hear that.
Kill a cop.
We're going to, if we're going to blame
yourself in the balls.
If we're going to blame someone for this, I think we should blame Nancy Pelosi, because Nancy Pelosi's direct quote was, I just don't know why there's not uprisings all over the country. Maybe there should be. Maybe
Dude, that meme has been fact checked for missing context, because someone put together all the politicians' quotes over the summer from BLM protests, and they put it all together with like fire in the background, and they're like, this is missing context. In no way were they trying to say that they should storm capitals and blah. It's just Facebook's bullshit.
But that's what we're going off of now. First of all, I think everybody in this chat right now, and I'm hoping everybody listening knows that like fact checkers are basically bullshit. Like a fact checker is just a confirmation bias checker. That's all they do. That's all they do. They're hired by Facebook to confirm the bias that Facebook wants to make sure is put out. But let's be honest, politicians have been saying for months that we need unrest and blood in the streets and to march and all of these things. But now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we can't do that. That's the worst. And just on a side note, libertarians, liberty-minded people, because I know there's no real libertarians, but like liberty-minded people that are upset about this and saying this wasn't the way to go about it, like, whatever, dude. Like, all of a sudden we can't upset politicians. They're the worst. I guarantee you, since that building was built, there's been more horror almost every week that has been inflicted on the American people than what happened this past week. I guarantee you.
Oh, for sure.
clearly there was one incident that happened in 1954 where a bunch of Puerto Rican nationalists went from the balcony and they shot down Congress was in session, and they just started they fired like 30 rounds into the crowd, and they didn't kill anybody, but they they injured 5 senators and stuff. And that happened in 1954. But no one, I mean, I didn't know about that until someone found it. Yeah, you can look it up. Yeah, it was a bunch of Puerto Rican nationalists, and they all served. Wow. They all got the max sentence, and they got released. And we got a pardon from Carter. Carter pardoned them, and they moved back to Puerto Rico back in like 1978.
Carter pardoned them. Wow.
Yeah. Like this. So this is even like the most violent incident that's happened at the Capitol building.
No.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I
It's
did
crazy.
see some videos where they were, and I think that's how the one cop died, where they were doing like a heave ho thing with the crowd. Did you see that video?
Yeah. Well, that poor cop. He was so hurt. He was squished between his stupid shield and the door. No, when the guy died, when apparently they hit him in the head with a fire extinguisher, and he died from like a brain injury after that. And then they said another cop died. Did you see this? They said another cop died, and they put it out as if like something had happened like to him during this, but when you read into it, he killed himself like 2 days after this incident.
Right.
And they put it in the same press release as the the condolences for the guy who was murdered by the
Well,
right.
Let's also be honest. If this was like a far left uprising, those 5 people that died unfortunately would have died of COVID. So it's like it's hard for me to be like, oh my gosh,
They did die from COVID.
Dude, and
Officially they died from COVID.
Like 3 or 4 of the people who died literally had like heart attacks because they got a little excited. Like I'm reading into it. That's actually what it is. It is like medical issues. And it's just boomers getting heart attacks. Like what? Like this wasn't that crazy. Like that one girl died, and then that one cop died. And then that apparently this other suicidal cop died. Like
that speaks to like just Americans needing to do cardio, get with their fitness. But
yeah,
I mean, so I don't want to like misconstrue to anyone. It's sad that people died. I wish that they didn't. Absolutely. But at the same time, Liberty people being appalled by it when like, dude, all I hear for the last like 18 months basically is we're going to put on our Hawaiian shirts and start some boogaloo. And then I think when we see that like the far left starts rioting and looting and like whatever, no libertarians. And then we see that the right, who I actually don't think is super far right, all of those people, I think a lot of them were, but they go to the Capitol and do this. We see no libertarians. Like, so I don't put a whole lot of stock in anything they say anymore. And I also am kind of worried because they all seem to have this idea that like, oh, it'll get so bad that people stand up. Like, no, it won't, because you won't. We're supposed to be the most like black-pilled, like
Are these the same people though? Are these actual bug boys that are saying this kind of shit?
No.
I don't feel like that's the case.
This comes from actual bug boys.
This is coming from like Nick Sarwark.
Yeah, this is coming from those pieces of shits who just don't like. Okay, I'll grant that this wasn't a good look. There was no plan. They were pretty much let in because they were so light on security that they're just like, fuck it, just like let them in.
While you're on that, I just want to just jump in there. I mean, I think that it's possible, and you know me, I'm not a big conspiracy guy. Like that's more Alex.
I know.
But I don't know. It feels like this. Okay. Yeah, can't win them all. But but it feels to me like this was intentional, and not just on the level of like the individual security guards or Capitol Police or whatever. It feels like this came from higher up than that. Damn. I don't have any evidence. To back that up, but it's just like, it's so perfect. If you want to discredit Donald Trump, like, this is basically destroyed Donald Trump. As far as like, what he can really, like any sort of power that he can wield right now, until he gets, established on some other platform or something. But this is what got him banned from Twitter. This is what got him banned from like Shopify.
Right. It's like they need one. It's like they needed one inciting incident. And
they needed something crazy, and they were like, oh well, if we just let these people that are clearly marching up here, and we just say like, oh yeah, go ahead, go in the Capitol, it's fine, and then it's
not a good look. It's not a good look. And it was clearly you were being played. Whether you thought that you were going to do something or not, you were there and you were going to be played, and you should have known that. You know how the media works. You know that. Like, you've been talking shit about fake news this entire time. You knew what this is going to be spun, and you did it anyway. So fuck them. And they're going in there to get Donald Trump to be elected president again. Like, of all things. Like, no, not from wars.
The motives are really stupid.
It's stupid.
Brett, what are you trying to jump in?
Yeah. Well, if they were actually serious about this, like, that's the one thing that actually makes me the most angry, because I feel like this is going to lead to like just a boot for harder on our neck. They should have, if they were serious, they would have stayed in there until every member of Congress, right and left, resigned. And they shouldn't have left that building until every one of them did, or been drug out of there, or been, brought out in body bags, if they were serious about this. But they weren't. It's like they had zero plan. What was the plan? They didn't take anything. I guess they took some hard drives that I don't even know if that's actually.
They took the podium.
They took a shit on Chuck Schumer's desk. That's what they did.
Which is the most important thing that's probably ever been on his desk.
Wait, did that actually happen?
That's what I was told.
I heard that they did do something. Someone shit somewhere and wiped it on the wall or something.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
they'll call that bioterrorism.
Of course they will. White terrorism.
They just happen to have like a massive like domestic terrorism bill just sitting there, huh?
Yeah.
Like that just isn't it like 20,000 pages or something freaking insane? Like it's just
happen to have there after the Patriot Act. Just they all forgot to renew the Patriot Act, and now we have this. Like,
I thought they did renew the Patriot Act.
No, they forgot. It was supposed to get renewed. They just forgot to do. Like, if you look, every news source, basically right and left, they say like they didn't have time for it. They basically forgot. So I think this is the answer to that. Is
okay. It's like, our bad. Here goes some more tyranny.
Yeah,
some replacement tyranny for you guys.
Sorry, we had a gap in the oppression of the American people. So we'll go ahead and fix that. So. Yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad. And I think what they did is made it worse. And people were really, really mad at me on Twitter for saying that. But the truth of the matter is what they did made it worse. They should have had a plan. And when they got in there and saw that, like, oh, they're just letting us in, if like you have to think right away, like, oh, we're sitting ducks. This was the plan. They wanted us to come in. Well, we're here. We're not leaving. So thanks for that, guys. Like, just you don't leave.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
Call it Chaz. I think that works now, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Right.
Capitol Hill.
Yeah, it just sucks because this is all being twisted and turned, and it's terrorism. And then, of course, all the libertarian LP and all, like, just all like the head people, the usual suspects, just saying, if you support this, you support terrorism, and this isn't the democratic way. And every libertarian got a message from the national LP saying that this was an attack on democracy and all this other bullshit terms. You sound no better, like you said, than Nancy Pelosi or some shit like that.
He can blow me. I'm so over Nick Sarwarst and his like minions, whatever.
His literal henchmen.
People, I'm sorry, Spike Cohen going like, this is the exact same thing or whatever he said about this week, like about Georgia, which we'll get into, I guess, but it's like, shut up, man. I get it. I get that your whole shtick is like, I don't choose the lesser of two evils. But at some point, when there's a huge crack in the wall and there's an ocean of tyranny behind it, you don't quibble about like which plug to put in. You fucking pick the one that you can get in there. Sorry. I'm frustrated.
Tell us how you really feel.
No, it's just annoying. And they come out there, and I had people, and then, like we talked about, so now Donald Trump got deplatformed everywhere, everything. He's not allowed on Twitter. He's not allowed on Facebook. He's just
the funniest.
Yeah.
And
there was a graphic that came out. Hold on. There was a graphic that came out. I guess it was on like Fox News, and it had just all the things that he got banned from. And one of them was Shopify, which is like Shopify is like an e-commerce platform where you can just like, open up a store.
You can't buy your MAGA hats from Shopify.
No more MAGA hats.
When they put that on there, was the grinder thing real? Or was that
I didn't see that, but that's hilarious.
New platform
I doubt it.
Grinder. And Mike
so
Pence
funny.
was too. I was like, that's hilarious. I hope it's real. I doubt it is, but it would be great. And then Parler's the only one that'll let him on. And so they're like, fine, you just don't get Parler anymore.
Yeah, we're taking Parler from you now.
Yeah.
Their Parler like really freaking sucks. Like it barely works. And like I don't really know how to use it because it's just shit. But I don't think it should be taken off all the stores because of it. I feel like just because just the fact that it's so shitty should be enough that people aren't going to use it that much.
Yeah, it should be like a self-fulfilling prophecy or something, right?
I just want to know where you guys, before I go off on another rant, where you guys stand on this whole like social media banning, like, getting rid of Parler and deplatforming, like basically not having Parler, not having a platform, and having, millions, maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands of Twitter accounts just purged this week with no, reason why.
I could go on for like an hour about this just alone. I'm about to like yell. So I'll just say this, that like, I don't need, so you say that now and you're going to have all these fucking autistic libertarians who are stupid, want to give you a 101. Well, technically it's a private company and they can do it. Like, shut up, you self-defeatist asshole. Like, I get it. I'm not asking for government interference. I don't want government solution to it. I'm not asking for that, but I'm saying, can't you at least just express like, there's a chain of dominoes right here and they're just falling all in front of me. Oh, and it's leading right to me. Shouldn't I be concerned about that in some way, shape, or form? When, like, I've been saying this for the longest time, man. You can go back to this podcast, and I've been saying, wait till they start with the ISPs. When ISPs just finally say, we're not going to give you internet, you won't get it because you can't, because you can jump off, because now that's what they did with Parler, right? It was they were hosting off of Amazon's servers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, don't you guys have, I started following you guys on Facebook before Twitter, long before. And isn't that one of, I think it's like maybe a meme or something, a graphic that you guys had talking about the ISPs like 2 years ago.
I know I did.
Yeah.
This was my,
we've been going pretty hard against like net neutrality, for the past couple of years that it's been brought up. It kind of gets brought up every cycle. And it's, it's kind of related to this whole thing where it's like, these people are talking about, they contradict themselves in that they're talking. And I think you pointed this out, Phil, with one of your tweets. It was like the same people that are like clamoring for like an equal and free internet that everybody should have access to as regulated by the government.
It's a human right.
Yeah, it's a human right. Well, you are the same people that are just applauding that, AWS, which hosts like a third of like websites or something, is just going to just deplatform somebody just because, they're getting accused of, what is it? They're getting accused of like hosting like content that, is inciting violence,
hate speech.
Whereas like, how much violence has been incited on Twitter? Like, goddamn.
Wasn't like Arab Spring planned on Facebook or something?
That's exactly. I actually just thought that. I was like, yeah, not even just like BLM shit. That's easy, low-hanging fruit, but like Arab Spring, like that whole thing. But as long as as long as it's supported by the elites and by the establishment, then yeah, that's fine. But the moment you try to organize some sort of,
well, the people vandalized their temple, and that's what set them off, because Donald Trump's been on Twitter throwing out insults and threatening countries that have nuclear weapons for years now. And that's fine. Oh, he can just, threaten nuclear war. That's cool. Oh no, he might've instigated people vandalizing and storming the Capitol building. Oh my gosh, that's the cutoff. We can't have anyone tarnish this temple to,
well, it makes sense though, right? Because
statism.
Exactly. Well, it shows, how, well, I guess there's a couple ways to look at it, but it shows how sort of like illusory the whole thing is, right? If a guy with a fucking Viking hat can sit at Nancy Pelosi's podium,
yeah,
like the emperor has no clothes at this point. It's like,
it was either a really bad job or maybe it wasn't just all right-wing people. I mean, it did strike me as odd that that's the dude that isn't flagged. Like, that's the dude that slips by. No one, he doesn't catch anyone's attention. I mean, he's literally has a giant chess piece of a pawn on his stomach. Like, if that's not symbolism, I don't know what is, but like,
yeah,
it's not a pawn. It's like some Viking symbol or something.
It looked like
it could be a pawn.
Piece. It looked like
well,
a pawn.
Oh, really?
He was a tool and a pawn. So
yeah.
I mean, I think the one good thing that will come from this is that Halloween makers already know what's going to be the biggest costume this year. So.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And I heard now there's a push to get Donald Trump, because they already did this in Canada. We talked about this in length at the one podcast. But they last year, Christmas time, in Canada during the broadcast, they got rid of the scene where Kevin McAllister runs into Donald Trump in Home Alone 2. They got rid of it. And now they're calling for it, since he got banned on Twitter and all this other stuff. They want to make sure that he's permanently deleted from every viewing of that.
Did you see where they edited in Biden?
Oh my god, that's so ew.
I didn't. Was he sniffing Kevin McAllister?
No, but that would be
no. The best one is, so they have the picture of Donald Trump pointing down the hall, and instead of Kevin McAllister, someone put the Buffalo guy.
I saw that. That was my favorite.
It's classic.
Yeah, I watched all the Home Alones, the only ones with like Macaulay Culkin in them. I watched this Christmas, and the one on Disney Plus still has Trump in it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're calling for that to be next.
And I don't understand why, because he was literally the president for a while. You can't delete him from history. Like, the guy is going to exist. He can't just go the way of Alex Jones. Like, he's not going to be like forever forgotten. I don't think Alex Jones is going to be forgotten either, but
yeah, man.
He lives on that video.
I think somebody should have let these people know that like 1984 wasn't an instruction manual.
Right.
So,
unless they're like, okay, we'll keep it. Like, he'll have the status in like you guys heard the book, The Giver. And it's about like the guy has this one role is to know all the bad things, and he'll only be allowed. He's the only person who's allowed to know about Donald Trump. Just one person.
That's what they think is happening. Here's the thing: the far left has basically taken over all of our education in this country. If you have good public education, that's what really the goal of the last 40 years was, is to just completely take over public education. So I think that that's the plan. If it's not, the only other thing I could think they're trying to do is radicalize people on the right. I can't understand what else it could be, because it looks like a litmus test to kind of see what's going to happen, because as far as just canceling Donald Trump, I mean, if the right doesn't do anything about this, then the left pretty much can do whatever they want. I mean, they're pretty much done. Basically, the right has been like, whatever. And if they continue to go down this path, then, I mean, whatever the left is going to take over, we're not going to have a choice. So I really just hope that everybody starts standing up like these guys did at the Capitol. I really do. I really do. That's where I'm at.
You know what's scary?
But I really do. I wish they would have just stayed there longer. I wish I would have been there. So
you know what's terrifying is like that people would definitely want you in like a re-education camp for saying any of this. Like, there are literally people who you love and who want you to go to a re-education camp for saying all this stuff.
My biggest issue with the people at that Capitol is that they were backing Donald Trump. Like, it kind of makes me sick, because it feels like a Stockholm syndrome or domestic abuse situation.
Yeah, totally.
When really, those people should have been storming the Capitol for the same reasons that I would want to, for themselves. So, because they see that there's going to be a boot on their neck. I mean, people keep telling me like MAGAs know that it's not about Trump. They know. I was like, no, they don't. No, they don't. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that Donald Trump gets impeached, and they go, if he does get impeached, and these people are like, so what's next? Because they don't just hate him, they hate all of us. But I have a feeling these people are going to be like, how people talk about like a football game that they didn't like the last call and just talk about how they got robbed for the next 4 years and then nothing comes of it.
Dude, they're refusing to even move on now. There's literally people who are like, Trump will be president on January 21st, 2021. There are people who think that. There are people who just refuse to move on and say, what's next? How do we not lose for the rest of our lives? Because we know that the Democrats are going to try. Like, how do they not just move on? Like, it's time to focus. It's time to focus and work. Like, that's the reason the Democrats won, is because they were super organized, they focused, and they got it done. Though there may have been some election fraud that went along with it, you know?
Oh yeah, they that was their insurance policy. I think they would have won regardless, but that was just kind of like, hey man, we got all this extra votes in New York City, bring them down to Philly, we need them, you know, type of thing. I'm sure that happened, but like I was saying, even today I heard a Q conspiracy saying that they stole computers. This was just a ruse. They let people storm the Capitol so they could go into people's offices and steal computers and bring them back. And they found some stuff that they're about to release.
Pedo ring stuff?
Yeah, I guess. Fuck, it's so goddamn ridiculous.
People are just so delusional, man.
It's literally a psyop.
Go from like a conspiracy theory to fan fiction.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Fan fiction. It's so true. I'm gonna
Donald
use that.
Trump fan fiction.
Fan fiction. Oh my god, yeah, hell yeah. I'm so gonna use that. Thank you for that.
At least as long as it's not like erotic fiction.
It might be.
Well, okay, but really, it's kind of bordering when they take a 76-year-old obese like dude and pretend that he's gonna storm the White House that he lives in on a white horse and a sword and rip his shirt off and have the abs of a 26-year-old. Have you seen some of these MAGA paintings?
Yeah.
Like he's either Jesus.
One where he's like he's like standing on the tank.
Yeah.
I saw that like as painted as like a mural in like Western Maryland. It was like on the side of someone's fucking barn.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Like, well, I mean, so I guess if you're in Maryland and have a barn, I don't know what goes on there. I live in LA. We have stuff, but
not a lot of barns in LA.
I don't understand what's going on in these people's mind. Every picture of Donald Trump that's like a portrayal, he's either Jesus or like the cover of a Harlequin romance novel. It's weird. It's like super weird. Nobody should be like, Donald Trump, I'm gonna get me some. Like his wife, I'm sure, throws up in her mouth every time she has to sleep with him.
Stop kink shaming, Britt. Like you're really kink shaming some Q-tards right now.
I don't care. They should feel shame. Shame is a normal emotion that you feel when you're doing something wrong. Stop it. Stop it.
Degenerate. Stop.
Yeah.
It's freaking weird.
It's statism, man. That's what this goes back to. It's their God. It's their one. It's their guy. He won. He beat. He defied the odds. And I forget who said this. It might have been Jeff Dice, but he was just like, "You guys don't understand that Donald Trump was a third-party candidate. He won inside the Republican Party, but he was a third-party candidate, and there was a lot of the cult of personality around him, and like." More so people look at him as if he's a godly figure. He took down the Bushes and the Clintons, and people just can't wrap their minds around the fact that he lost. He didn't do the right things to get reelected, and there was some voter fraud along the way. And it's just the media like sabotaged him, hated him, or better for worse, because like I hate the guy. I think he was a terrible president, but that's run of the mill. I mean, every president's terrible. Like everyone sits on the emperor's throne is terrible. Like, and they're war criminals and everything else. Like that's what I'm saying. Like people even today on my Facebook post, they're like, "I'm glad racists needed to get deplatformed." This was a libertarian guy. He runs his own like in Northern Virginia. He runs the Northern Virginia libertarians. And so he was just like, yeah, all racists should get platformed. We should need more people being deplatformed, racist and bigoted. And I'm like, dude, just like, okay, I have very minimal evidence that he's racist, but I do have strong evidence that he's committed war crimes and he's a part of destroying the Palestinian people and the genocide in Yemen. But that's not enough for him to get kicked off of Twitter.
There's that, and just, the obvious thing, which is, anybody can get labeled a racist. Like, how do you determine if someone's a racist?
They don't
agree.
Are we talking about like Richard? Yeah, exactly. Are we talking about banning Richard Spencer? Okay, but what about like the guy that made like one black joke, or the guy that said something about, I don't know, IQ or something like that, that you're kind of like,
Richard Spencer is literally still
oh,
on Twitter. Richard Spencer has a Twitter.
is he?
Yeah, no, I was looking it up today. I was like, he must have been
Yeah.
deplatformed a while ago. No, dude's on Twitter with 800,000 followers. Like, he's around.
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
that's intentional. I think that's you got to keep your
all
boogeyman alive. You
intentional.
have to keep some. That's why David Duke's never been. Everyone loves David Duke. They're like, oh yeah, they love to hate him. He's like the picture child. Of
and that's
who
why
the
they kept.
KKK is.
That's why they kept Trump around until like 1 week before he's no longer president.
Oh,
like,
they got to
you
enact
know.
the 25th Amendment.
It's like we've got to get all the ad revenue from like everybody retweeting this motherfucker and commenting like within a split second, you know.
I'm gonna be
but
honest,
okay, now that he's
Sorry.
go ahead.
No, I don't think for a second Donald Trump is racist. I just don't. I mean, it may be an unpopular opinion. I don't, and here's why, because I watched him on Comedy Central roasts for years before with every one of these people that hates him, and they were all like buddy chumming up. Everybody, you know, in Hollywood loved Trump until this happened. Everybody was a fan.
I think the guy is just a total narcissist and a nihilist.
Yeah.
But I don't think he has any specific hatred towards any specific race. I think he just like uses people and has his own ends that he wants, and it doesn't matter if you're white, black, or Mexican or whatever. He's gonna use you and whatever, you know. It's like that's
I think
despicable, but it is what it is.
Being impeached right now, this isn't about Donald Trump or anything that Donald Trump's done. This is trying to send a very clear message that politicians, that Congress, that government does not and will not accept outsiders that rock the boat. It's the exact same reason why the left was very, very quick and right on it to throw Al Franken under the bus the minute that they saw anything that was even barely inappropriate. I don't know if you guys remember, Al Franken basically had to resign because he took a picture when he was a comedian of someone sleeping on a USO, yeah. So, okay, it was inappropriate. The left went after him quick. And I think they did it to him and not Joe Biden and all these other who ran against Kelly Horrible Face in Georgia, who
Warnock,
his wife on the daily, like it's no big deal. But Al Franken, they went after it. And I think it was to send a message that like, we'll get rid of outsiders really quick, no matter what party, because we always have to keep that like base. Like you're only allowed in if you don't do anything wrong. You have to be more perfect than the rest of us. I see it all the time. I see it even on the left a lot with Reagan. Ronald Reagan is hated more than up until Donald Trump was hated by the left more than anyone. Like they don't want anybody that wasn't primed for politics. It's just the truth. It's just the truth of the matter, and we'll continue to see it. Anybody you see coming from Hollywood, anyone you see coming from any other field, basically they are going to be up against a wall just like me or you. They just have a longer expiration date. It will always be that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Al Franken and Me Too, did you want to hit on this Cliff Maloney thing, Phil?
I kind of had a little bit more to say about being deplatformed and stuff. The questions. Maybe we can say that for after hours.
Okay. Yeah. Let's. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you got to say?
I think it keeps bringing up conversations. Like this whole week, I've just been so like it challenges your viewpoints, challenges your morals, where you stand on things. Because so people break down like these walls of the Capitol building. They smash everything, they steal everything, they kill his cops, and is that what I mean? Like, is that morally wrong? I mean, this is this is supposed to be owned by everyone. It's simultaneously it's owned by everyone, but not by anyone. It's weird. It's like weird. And the people are being arrested now who broke in, and they're being charged with like unlawful entry. When it's just like, well, what law says? I don't know. Like what is like? Why can't you go
to play the status advocate?
Yeah,
they're gonna say like, okay, they were trying to interfere with an electoral process, which is this sort of sacred right, the sacred institution, and so that is, I guess, treasonous or seditious.
Ugh,
You know,
yeah.
I think that's the distinction that they're going to make is like, well, it's not just that you know, broke into the Smithsonian Museum, but you went into this thing and you interrupted this like, you know, ritual that we do. Of course, to, you know, anarchists like me and you, I don't know about you two guys, but, you know, I mean, to me, it's just all just like, whatever. I mean, that means nothing to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
I'm not.
care
I don't feel any.
I don't care about
outrage.
your rituals or whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
as-
I don't have to respect your religion. I don't.
exactly.
Yep.
And then also when it got talking about deplatforming, I mean, these are people's, you know, private businesses. Yes, I know, like, God spare me. I keep hearing that. But at the same time though, it's, well, what do you like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just accept the fact that my electricity is going to get turned off because they are being pressured by this outrage mob that's being influenced by the corporate media, which is being subsidized by the state? You know, like it all goes back to the state. They create these opinions, they create all this fervor up, and they get out, you know, like, so anyone who just dissents, I mean, this is what it's going to boil down to. Anyone who dissents is going to be treated this way. You already see how far the pendulum swifted back and forth. I mean, what do you expect going to happen? So at the same time, I'm going to be caught in this crossfire where, like, I get found out, you know, like, oh, he lives here, so you're not gonna have a job, you can't have, you know, you can't have electricity, you can't have internet, you can't have all this, because, and then it's like, oh, and like you have libertarian community just saying, well, it's private business, they can do what they want.
Exactly.
Like, where's the line on that? Like,
exactly. To what extent? It's like, would we just let corporations enslave us all because, hey, it's not the government, right? Like, that's fine, just as long as it's not the government. It's like, you do realize that, like, it doesn't have to be the government. It's like the oppressing factor. It's like, it's not always going to be the government that has like the boot on your neck. Sometimes it's going to be someone else. And like, this is the case. Like, what if they do start denying you like electricity? What if you can't go to a grocery store because you're wanted for being like having thought crimes or whatever? Like, at what point do we stop? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have answers.
Maybe I'm not a real libertarian because I think that at a certain point, companies shouldn't be able to like kill people.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's a weird line, and I don't know. I'm walking it because I'm like, I understand, but maybe I should at least just. And it's like, it's not even so much I'm saying I need a government rule, we need to have net neutrality, we need to have something, whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, shouldn't I be concerned about this? And everyone's like, no, you don't be concerned. How dare you? It's unlibertarian to be concerned.
Well, there's this weird thing where it's like, if you say that you disagree with the action of a corporation or a company, that you're somehow implying that it requires government intervention.
Yeah.
You know, like that's sort of where people's heads go to, which I think is just due to their, you know, indoctrination that the state is the, you know, the solution to everything. But, you know, just because, I mean, it would be enough if enough people got upset by this on both sides of the aisle or whatever, or both sides of the spectrum, and got upset and were like, look, you know, Facebook, we don't approve of this. You know, we, as much as we hate, you know, Donald Trump and blah, 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 we recognize that, like, you know, people should at least have a voice as long as they're not, you know, doing anything directly, like, just, okay, ban the people that are directly, you know, inciting violence or whatever. But like this idea of like just completely just wiping and erasing a whole community of people off the internet is just, I mean, it's not something we should promote in the society, you know, whether it requires government intervention. Yeah, I don't agree with that. But, you know, it's not something that should be condoned and just like, well, it's a private business, it can do what it wants. Bah, 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 bah. Like, that's just lazy shit.
I truly don't know what the answer is. Like, I don't, like, we don't live in a perfect free market where companies can just like pop up super easily, you know, like there's, especially like now, it's going to be only worse. So I just truly don't know what the problem is. And I don't want to solve it with government. I'd like to find like some other solution. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm racking my brain for like, how do we fix this without like, you know, doing
part of it. I mean, part of it is, I mean, and Josh has pointed this out in the comments, but he says the issue is the government gives them an enforcing arm.
Yes.
That's
So
what I was waiting to say. It's also, I mean, I think it's Doppel that they've been using for years, and also Twitter and other social media, being able to be a publisher on one hand and then saying that they're a private entity on the other hand. When social media starts acting like they're a branch of the government and working with the government on one hand, and then saying that they're a private business on the other hand, I think as a citizen, as somebody that uses social media, and especially as somebody that's liberty minded, it's really kind of disingenuous and lazy to just say, oh, they're private business, because they're no longer acting as a private business. They're now acting as a branch of the government. They're also using the government to enforce rules against you that you can't turn around and go back to them. It's not like I could turn around and sue Twitter because I was harassed on their site, but Twitter can kick me off of the site for saying something that they believe is harassment and ruin my career, ruin my job. They're allowed to ruin my livelihood. However, I can't legally take them to court and ruin theirs. It doesn't, it's not fair. It's using the government to pick winners and losers. And unfortunately, every one of us that doesn't work for Twitter, some social media platform, are the losers. And then we have people that sit on these social media platforms that say they're liberty minded and say that, oh, it's a private business. Well, I'm sorry, that's bullshit, because it's no longer a private business. It's crony capitalism. And as a liberty minded person, you should be against that.
Right. That's the thing. It's like we screech about this freaking corporatism shit all the time. We're like, oh yeah, this country isn't like perfectly capitalist. Like we don't have the free market. We talk about that all the time. But when it comes to social media, for some reason, some people refuse to acknowledge that.
When your tax money indirectly goes to benefit social media platforms, then yeah, you do get a say in it. And don't pretend that it doesn't. Just because it goes through some bullshit back door doesn't mean that your tax dollars don't bolster social media. It's just the truth. So stop. If you don't know what you're talking about, which I will go out on a limb, and probably the four of us aren't as well versed as somebody else could be on this platform, but please don't say like the argument of it's a private business, they can do what they want, just doesn't hold water when we know every single thing.
Well, I mean, would these people say the same thing about Raytheon? You know,
Right.
Raytheon's just a private company
Have you
manufacturing bombs that are killing thousands of people. Like, what? Nothing we can do about it.
Did you see Pangy's tweet? I think he's like Paleo Pangy or something like that. He literally said, oh, it's okay as long as it's just like Raytheon. It's cool, bro. It's a private company, bro. Like, but is it? Like, are we really doing this? Like, are we really sucking corporations' dicks just because, oh, they're private? Like, are they?
How feckless are you that you'll sit there on a social media platform and say they can do what they want, disagree with it, and stay on the platform, you feckless asshole? What is wrong with you? Like, I'm on the platform, but I'm not saying what they're doing is cool. I'm going to get, my account will be fried within days. I guarantee it. As soon as somebody like tags me again, because I just keep
as soon as someone reports you to the FBI.
Yeah. What?
Did you see that? Someone, I don't know what the account was, but they tweeted.
Jessica Green.
That's my best friend.
That was so funny. Like, oh my God, the people are awful. They're like, oh yeah, just because she made this joke, she was clearly at the insurrection, and FBI, go arrest her. It's like, no, she's like a housewife that lives like 1,000 miles away from anywhere. That was like, are you fucking kidding me? Wow. We're doing this right now. Like,
he literally tagged her. I forget what she was on, like bad takes, or I mean, hundreds of thousands of people.
Bad legal takes. Yeah, bad legal takes.
Basically, like, they wanted her arrested for making one comment that said, like, you shouldn't be like ratting out like your fellow citizens to Big Brother. My favorite though was somebody that said she shouldn't be comparing what's happening at the state capitol to a TV show from the 90s or something like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I saw that.
The Big Brother thing, right?
Big Brother. Yeah.
That was so funny. Oh my God.
That's so embarrassing.
That's the thing. She said like you guys would sell out someone for a corn chip. I think it was essentially her yes. And it's so true because oh my God, look at all you tagging FBI. Like you literally proved your fucking point.
Yeah. There was I mean, someone had gone on Reddit and compiled a whole bunch of posts where people were admitting to just ratting out their family to the FBI, like friends and family to the FBI.
Sick.
I mean, it was disgusting.
That's like what I'm so worried about. It's like there's people in your life who love you. Like I saw one where it's like a daughter ratted out her like mom, uncle, and some other family member, and I'm like, the
Jesus.
people who love you will rat you out for fucking nothing.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anyone ever again, anybody that is even close to like left of center, anybody that has been on board with the FBI tagging, with the face masks, with any of it, none of you can ever again say that you wouldn't have stood with the Nazis, because you all would have. You all would have. Like literally, if the term Karen was around in 1939, that would have been what happened instead of Nazi. I'm telling you. Like, I don't trust any of you bitches. Seriously. Would have been like we literally would, like it would have been that, like, and then the Karen regime that came through, because that's what's happened. I've watched it. I watched a woman call the police on her husband for wanting to walk the dog in Australia.
Yeah, that tweet
I
was
saw that one.
Cringe, dude.
I don't even like, I am foursquare against domestic violence, but maybe
some exceptions. Some exceptions are needed.
But yeah, it's getting worse, and I don't have solutions. Where you just gotta, I don't know, like I don't know what to do. And then you have like the LP is just, it's fucking itself. I mean, we're trying. I'm just trying to make it more radical and stick to its principles, but it wants to align so much, and it's so scared of standing out. And you almost wonder, is it doing it intentionally? Is it,
which way do you think they don't want to stand? Because I think this is where we might actually have a disagreement. So,
well, I think that they want to be close to the establishment. They're in the Beltway. The headquarters, and a lot of the strong contingent that's in leadership in the LP right now is mostly for they're for the establishment. And if it looks bad on them, they don't want to be associated anything with Trump or any conservatives or anything right-leaning establishment. They just want to be with like in the party. Like I always call it, like they want to be a part of like the cool kids table, but they don't even understand. They're not even in the same cafeteria as the cool kids, but they act like they are. So they just try to like, we stand against that too. And it's no one's listening to you, dude. Like you're just sitting there talking to a wall, and so that's my opinion of it. The LP.
Okay, no, I agree with you. Watching Joe Jorgensen court leftists for 6 months was not my favorite thing, but I have had so much hate from LP members because I just made a comment saying that you should use compromise as a tool to advance liberty, not meaning you should compromise liberty, which I feel like a lot of people in the LP do, but meaning that you might want to compromise how your fucking plan works if it's not working, to do whatever it takes to further the agenda of liberty, because everybody says my principles, but really at the end of the day, this is why I think maybe I'm not a libertarian. My only principle is radical liberty. And I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Like I will register as a Democrat and vote for the least socialist Democrat. And then I'll switch right at, primaries or whatever and vote for a Republican. In fact, I would run as a Republican. And I know that libertarians hate this. They hate when we say, oh, more libertarians should run in the Republican Party. I don't care. I think they all should. And I think they should radicalize it and then change the name. I don't care. I don't care what you call the party, but get your shit together and realize that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we call ourselves, because what the left did that was ingenious is spent the last 40 years going into communities and organizing in communities and being local and doing what they had to do to get people's trust to get into the education system. And now, we see this fraction between far left and moderates, but they're all in the party because socialists didn't care what they called themselves. And that's how socialism got as far as it did in the left. And libertarians, liberty-minded people, you need to start thinking like that, okay? Because all I see from a lot of you, and myself included for a long time until probably the last 28 months, was, I'm either going to do nothing because fuck the government and everything's bad, or I'm going to run for president. So stop it. You need to go out into your communities. You need to do what you need to do. If you want to advance this agenda of liberty, you need to do the hard work. We all need to do the hard work. Sorry for yelling. It just frustrates me because I feel like we see it just consistently down the board.
When you think about it, it's like, did Ron Paul running as a Republican do more than Joe Jorgensen running as a fucking libertarian? Like, come on. Like, so many people can credit Ron Paul to their awakening. He ran as a Republican. Like, he did that. And are you going to say he's not a real libertarian because he ran as a Republican?
Oh, some people do. Oh, they do.
Yeah. The reason libertarians make me want to pull my hair out.
They can blow me. I don't even, yeah. Because what is reason other than sow discourse? I mean, reason is feckless too.
I mean, there's no reason why both tactics can't be used, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it should be a full-out assault like the progressives did at the beginning of the 20th century. It's just completely influence every institution from the banks to the media and get your way. That's what they did. I mean, it was a long game, and they won. They did it because they were smart, and they won. And here we are.
Yeah, I mean,
bitching about it on 100 years later.
The libertarians' biggest issue, to me, the biggest fear that the average libertarian has is that someone's going to call him a Republican that smokes weed. Fuck it, bro. I don't care what you call me. Freckles calls us.
No, nowadays it's just racist.
I don't care. I don't care what anybody calls us as long as we get the job done. I'm so tired of this. I'm tired of the fight. I'm just frustrated as hell.
Cool. Well, I guess we're probably going to head on over to the After Hours podcast. I don't know if you guys want to tell everyone where they can find you and your Twitter handles. I see them up on the screen, I think. So if you just want to tell everyone who's listening.
Yeah, I'm at Freckled Liberty. Like, I don't even know if following me is worth it at this point, but whatever. Do it if you want. I don't care.
Love the attitude. That's the spirit.
I'm on Twitter at Tweets by Brit. I will take every one of the followers that Freckles doesn't want. Care and attention whore. I love it. And we're on the Freckles and Brit show every Sunday morning on YouTube. We're live. It's a thing, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Unless we're just get high and don't get out of bed. But mostly we do. We get high and then get out of bed and do the show. I don't even brush my hair half the time. So yeah.
Nice.
There's that.
Nice.
Cool. Well, I just to remind people who are probably still watching us right now that you probably didn't hear the little spiel in the beginning part of the show that we put in for the podcast. But if you guys want to help us out in any way, you can go to our Patreon and sign up there for a little $1 a month, and you can get to hear the access to the After Hours, which we're going to record right after this. And if you don't feel comfortable using Patreon or you want to give other ways to the show, you can go to prlfans.com, and there you'll find like stuff for like Bitcoin and everything else. We also have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. If you use the code PRL or PRL Podcast, you get a 10% discount. If you want to spend $50 or more, you can use the code PRL2 and get yourself a 20% discount. This podcast is once again brought to you by Conversations About Freedom with Moral Bob. And until next time, live free.
Or